What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have an album review for you. So yeah, we got down to reviews a little bit late. We had Thanksgiving, then John and I went to go see a Monomarth, Carcass, Obituary, and Cattle Decap. And yeah, we got a little backlog, but there was no way in hell that I was going to ignore this release because I have been anticipating it since they announced it. So we're going to go over the newest offering from Spiritworld, Deathwestern. This came out on the 25th of November on Century Media Records. This band formed somewhere after 2017, at least according to the archives. They didn't have a date of formation, but their first demo came out in 2017, so it was at least somewhere before that. Anyway, they formed in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is their second full length overall. Century Media actually re-released their debut album, Pagan Rhythms, last year. It actually came out in 2020. I didn't even know about it. And once I heard it, it was like, dude, this is something very familiar, but also very unique. If I had heard that album in 2020, it probably would have been a year ender for me because I jammed the living shit out of that when I got it, and it's been a favorite of mine. And for those that don't know, this band has such an awesome blend of themes and styles. Musically, they take hardcore, thrash metal, and bits of death metal and sort of stir it up into a very mosh-worthy style of just groove-laden hooks and just belted out vocals. But when you get down to their appearance and themes, it is, kind of unique. They have a Western approach, like as in like the good, the bad, the ugly, and apparently the spirit world. There are interludes of, Western music, steel guitars, and just those dreary Western melodies that, kind of embody a cowboy riding around on his horse in the open fucking desert looking for the next town to either pick up work or shoot the sheriff or whatever the fuck he's doing, I don't know. But if you see them live, it kind of feels more like, a glitzy, like, rodeo sort of thing. I don't know how to describe it. They're wearing jackets with rhinestones on it and cowboy hats, and they're just absolutely fucking whooping ass because, again, the music they play is just so fucking mosh-worthy and so fucking riff-centric that it is hard not to get hooked by it. And that has returned in fucking full force on here. If you were familiar with Pagan Rhythms, this sounds a lot like it, albeit I think just a little bit more refined. First off, I think the production is a little bit better in here. It's a little bit clearer, namely the vocals. The vocals, I thought on the first one were very muffled. They did come out a little bit more when the gang vocals came in, which of course there are a ton of those because this is fucking very hardcore oriented. But now the lyrics actually kind of shine, and there's definitely these interesting themes again, like, Western stuff, but also like anti-religious stuff. It's, a satanic fucking horror movie in the Wild West, which I would totally fucking watch. That sounds like a great fucking time. But it's the music that really fucking gets you on here. This is so groove-laden and hooky. The rest themselves are not overtly technical. They kind of hang on to this, very just chug-driven style. Lots of, like, Slayer-like harmonies all over the place. But with that sort of, like, extra in-your-face sort of, like, machismo that you get from bands like Terror and Earth Crisis and shit like that. After you get past the intro Mojave Bloodlust, which, as much as I don't like intros, it definitely sets up the album well. And the fact that these cleaner, more Western moments where you hear, like, again, like every sound you would associate with the fucking Western. Like, I'm pretty sure there was like a sample of a tumbleweed going across. But these clean guitars, and then all of a sudden it just explodes into like hardcore grooves, D beats, machine gun chugging thrash guitars, and like occasional death metal tremolo riffs. All that is embodied in the title track, which is the next track up, and fuck, dude, it just whoops ass. One of the main things I love about this band in terms of their songwriting is there's a lot of good build up to certain parts. Like, they know they got a killer breakdown, but how to build it up and get you ready for it. Like, everything on here is sort of built for the mosh pit. It's either the mosh pit or you're kind of shaking your ass because admittedly these grooves are, almost kind of danceable. They are accented really well, and I think that's like sort of the main thing. Like where the tag at the end of the chuggy riff comes in, or just how a fucking, bell ride is accented. Because this band loves that dinner bell fucking ride a lot. But it's kind of how, like, all the things are accented, like where the vocals come in, the gang vocal shouts, like everything is just built to perpetually keep your head fucking bobbing. But again, it's that lead up. You have time to actually maybe catch your breath a little bit and get revved up for this next breakdown. Like Lujuria Satanica, I think that's how you say it. Probably not. I really good at fucking up foreign pronunciation. That song has an excellent section where they isolate the chug and sort of get a good stomping groove to kind of get you going, letting you know this next fucking part's coming. And then it just explodes, and then you're fucking banging your head once again. And then you have songs like Moonlit Torture, which kind of pivot back and forth between like big death metal sections and just straight up hardcore. Like, actually, it's the most punky sounding song on here, and actually features Dwid Hellion from Integrity, so a little bit of Cleveland love there. I think he lives in Norway now, but yeah, he's originally from Cleveland. But I love how the song pivots between the death metal tremolos and these just straight up hardcore punky riffs with a really cool harmony to them. But it's the lead in to the breakdown at the end. There's these cool like dark preacher samples that are sort of building up the atmosphere a little bit, and then it just comes in with some of the nastiest riffs in the entire album. That is definitely saying something, because this album is built on nasty riffs, like riffs that have bad intentions for fucking moshers, at least. Now, I would say this is mostly hardcore and thrash combined. Death metal is more of a seasoning on here. Like, you kind of just hear it in the occasional riff, or like a certain more atmospheric spot, like it gets a little bit more dark and sinister, and that kind of adds like a bit of extra heft to the riff. Like, you hear, you know, tremolo riffs that definitely sound a little bit more akin to like Death or Possessed. The last track, 1000 Deaths, actually features brief sections of blast beats, and there's also sort of a death thrash sort of vibe to it. It's a little bit more up-tempo in sections, because about as fast as this gets really is the D beat, but that is pretty fast, and that is fast enough again to get moshers moving, and I think that is the main point of this. But you also have like some death metal riffs that pop up on, you know, Committee of Vultures, the title track as well, and The Heretic Butcher, which I think is a very interesting track, and this one kind of gets back to the atmosphere and themes. It opens up with what I would say is like the poppiest melody on here. Like, it's a kind of just pleasant sounding acoustic country melody. Like, there's again that bit of atmosphere to it, like there's some ambient noise to it, and then it just flat out explodes into like thrashy fucking hardcore once again. And I think the atmosphere is a little dialed down from Pagan Rhythms, because I think they kind of overuse some stuff on there, like the samples kind of got a little drawn out. These are very short and just used to set up, and honestly I think they're more musical. Like, there's definitely some samples of what sounds like movies and such, or maybe just like, you know, random televangelists telling you the world's gonna fucking end and you're a dirty sinner or some horse shit like that. But this album can't wait to get down to what it does well, and that is just chug your fucking face off and hit you with fucking absolutely infectiously catchy songs. But it's interesting, those interludes and those samples in there, kind of the things that keep it grounded. Without those, it kind of loses a little bit of that Deathwestern sense, because honestly, like, listening to this without these samples in here, I would think of more like hardcore bands from the East Coast and stuff. Like, just, you know, sick of it all, like kind of New York hardcore attitude, but kind of peppered in with a lot of Slayer riffs. Actually, some of this kind of sounds like a more fucking groove-laden version of All Out War. I mean, hell, that band even gets called Slayercore every now and then too. But, you know, it's those interesting little elements they pepper in to give it that atmosphere that gives it this sort of unique vibe to it. And another thing that I really like about this is it is very meat and potatoes, but it's done really well. Like, it's done with so much energy, and nothing is like overtly flashy. Like, you have some cool solos every now and then. They're very short and very minimalistic, but they're really solid. And then most of the time you just have, like, you know, cool dive bombs to sort of add to the atmosphere. They're just getting to the fucking riffs. And again, with riffs this strong, stick to them, man. They're fucking awesome. Even the drum work on here, a lot of it is mostly like single kick stuff. Like, he's definitely using a double bass. You can hear him do double time rhythms here and there too. But a lot of it is just that sort of single kick, old school sort of hardcore groove. And all this kind of combined, just, I don't know, it feels like this band tapped into something really fun and really primal at the same time. And it works, like, pretty much across the board. Honestly, the only song on here that I had an issue with is the song Crucified Heathen Scum. And that is because it's the shortest track on here, and it feels like an incomplete song. Like, there's some great ideas on it. There's some cool syncopated chugs, like they actually gallop with it rather than kind of just lay on that groove. There's some death metal roars on it, which death metal roars really aren't the big thing. Like, the vocal delivery is primarily that hardcore sort of shout with gang vocals coming in at different intervals. The song just kind of comes in and then it just kind of ends. And I don't know, like, that one track on there, I was like, man, I feel like this could have been expanded out to be as big as all the other tracks. And honestly, without this track on it, I don't think it really would have hurt this album at all. So overall, it kind of felt a little unnecessary. But overall, this album fucking rips, and I kind of knew it would. I listened to singles. They brought everything that I loved about the first album there, and I just think they did it even better in here. Like, this is a unbelievably catchy album. And again, it's that just headbang, that constant fucking groove. Like, this makes you involuntarily headbang. You really have no choice. You're gonna get fucking hooked by this. So overall, I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars. This album fucking kills, and fuck, dude. I thought I was kind of done with my year-end list, but now I might have a new fucking entry because this is really fucking good. If you're an old school hardcore fan or an old school thrash fan, if you just like heavy music, I think you'll really enjoy this. There's sort of an energy about this that just is pure fucking fun. The Western theme sort of injected into this like old school hardcore thrash metal, death metal formula. It's unique, and it has this just fun fucking bounce to it. There isn't a single song on here I would say is lacking in any energy whatsoever, and I think the songwriting is fucking awesome. There's not a lot of like, you know, different elements. In fact, they kind of just rework a lot of the same styles of riffs in different ways. You know, there's a lot of Slayer nods in here. There's a lot of fucking like just old school hardcore groove, but it's how they blend it all together. Like, it's done for maximum impact. This is just a high energy, fun fucking release. And again, if you love bands like Terror, Slayer, like Possessed 2, Power Trip, like any of those fucking bands, like if you just love riffs and fucking attitude, this band fucking has it. Go check this out. This is another fucking solid album that I'm gonna have to consider for my year-end list now, because this is just fucking great. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there. Our store is there. If you'd like to get one of our shirts, we are going to restock up on stuff, but that's going to be a little bit further down the road. Also, for our Patreon subscribers watching, we are having, you know, polls for the next batch of rankings. So far, Miller's is up, and it still needs some more votes before we go call that one. And then after a point where I think we have enough votes to have one decided, we are going to put up the next one, and then we will announce which ones we are covering for the next batch after the Crowbar ranking. Also, Denver Death Fest, there's a link down there. I believe we are having a Black Friday sale, so it's like 33% off of the 3-day pass, which I think brings it down to like $40. There will be a link down below for that. We will be making an announcement, I believe, in the new year as to the lineup for it. It'll be held April 20th through the 22nd in Denver, Colorado, because it's Denver Death Fest. Where the fuck else will we put it? And we are looking forward to making announcements about that in the future. This should be a lot of fucking fun. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that stuff. It is amazing doing this. Getting close to those year-end lists, man, this one's gonna be tough because I think this fucking year was pretty backloaded. Like, there was a lot of good stuff that came out kind of late in the year, so there's a lot to consider. But I got kind of a rough draft down, so somewhere mid-December we will have our year-end lists up, and those should be a lot of fun. But again, thank you all for the support, the love. It's just amazing fucking doing this, and you guys are like the main fucking reason. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you later.